mates, how's it going? I'm Mr. GT. Welcome to the channel, where today you join us as we take a look at my friend Tony's 2008 AMG C63 W204. These W204s were produced between 2008 to 2015, and this one today is the first produced of the bunch. So sit back, relax, grab a keg and enjoy the show. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just take you through the exterior. So what we've got here, we've got the distinctive bulges on the hood, along with its bumper, right, to give it a nice aggressive muscular look. There you can see the bulges, and then at the back here we've got the quad exhausts for an amazing addictive sound growl. Obviously we've got the AMG badging, and I'll just introduce you to Tony. So Tony, here's Tony, the owner.
Hi YouTubers.
Okay Tony, have you done anything extra to the car?
Yes, basically the thing that bothered me about this model is very rarely they come out with a limited slip diff.
Yep.
And the ones that did come as a limited diff slip option was about $2,200, was only a clutch diff. So you had to change the oil every 3,000 kilometers, which is not a good thing. Also clutches wear out. So what I did, I purchased a Harrop True Track billet made limited slip diff. Total operation was $3,500. But the handling of the car, it's unbelievable. Like, yeah. So anyone that purchases these cars or has one, you can check with your VIN number to see if you've got a limited slip diff. About 99% of them don't have limited slip.
Right. Yeah, that was an option.
Yeah, Mercedes did that on purpose. The reason why they did that on purpose is you can't sell a C-Class, which is only $160,000, to be better than the E-Class, which was $240,000. The E-Class had to be a better car mechanically.
Right.
So what they did is the diff was an open wheeler.
Yep.
So I recommend changing the diff. But go for the billet, because that's what everyone's doing. Even in Europe, they're not putting in the clutch diffs, they're putting in the billet diffs. And they're in there forever. You don't have to service them or whatever.
Okay, excellent.
The second thing I recommend, the Tyre Options. The person that had this car was an investor, so he kept putting on the Pirelli P0's MO, which is Mercedes option. The Pirellis were no good. It's 10-year-old technology.
Yep.
These are the Michelin Pilot Sport 4s.
Yep.
Totally transformed the car. It was as if I changed the suspension. And also, the trick is with the rear wheel, they're only 255 width. I went 265.
Okay.
Some people go 275, it still doesn't rub. Some go to 285, but then it can start rubbing.
So you get a bit of extra grip there?
Yeah, these need the grip. They have so much torque down low, it's unbelievable. So 265 instead of 255, Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, highly recommended, with the limited slip diff. The other thing I did, once a car hit 100,000 Ks, the shock absorbers obviously need updating.
Yes.
So I took it to Eastman Suspension, and they've put in Bilstein, I think that B5 suspension. It's a coilover suspension, and it's got 10 settings.
Right.
You just go under the car, and the ride is phenomenal. The Black Series has I think it's a KW system, which is very harsh for the road. Apparently the Bilstein is better. The reviews I had was people were saying that it handles like an M3 or a Porsche. I didn't believe it, but I'm telling you, when you adjust that suspension, the handling is, yeah.
Hang the fuck on.
Yeah, because you got to keep in mind, why did Mercedes bring this car out? They brought this car out to tackle the M3. The M3 is the king of that segment.
Yes.
And they also had Lexus coming out. So Lexus came out with their 5-litre. They had Audi coming out with their V8.
Yep.
So Mercedes had to do something. So what they did, they had to tackle the C range and they had to get the E range up against the M5 because the M5 is also a legendary saloon.
Correct.
So what they did to kill them off, they put the M156, which is a race engine. They put a race engine in a street car, and everything is mechanically the same in your C63, E63, S63, ML60. It's the same engine, and they had 20 master builders, and it's one man per engine.
Yes, one man, one engine principle.
So all the parts are identical, but like I said, you can't have a C class quicker than an E class, for example. So they software detuned the C class via software, not via hardware. The throttle bodies in the car were only allowed to open 67%, and that's why they were only making 451 horsepower or 457 brake horsepower, whichever one you read, where the E class had 500, so the throttle bodies open a bit more, and then the Black Series 510 and then 525 for the S class. So effectively, when you dyno tune these cars, you've got 525 horsepower just from the software dyno tune.
And that's a very good base to start from.
It's a very, very good base. When you do that, yeah, the car, it's like you put a supercharger on it. It's got plenty of grunt. So that was the second restriction. So the first one was a diff, second one was the dyno to get the full power. And the third restriction I noticed was the exhaust manifold. So when you change exhaust manifold to long tube headers, yeah, you pick up big power.
Yeah, big power.
Yeah, so they're the three items I did. And
anything on the exterior, or is it just like the standard?
Just the stripes.
Oh yeah, the stripes down here on the bottom.
Yeah, I purposely left these 18-inch rims because what the story is, they're the best for the street. They absorb the bumps. The 19-inch, they're too weak. So all the 19-inch, they're always buckling and cracking. So I recommend not going to the 19-inch Mercedes. You're better off going to aftermarket.
I agree.
Forged, or stick with the 18s. The 18s give you the best ride because you've got the higher tyre height. And that's what the tyre shops all warn me about. Stick with the 18s.
Yes.
That's what I did.
The car was engineered from the Mercedes engineers with this setup, these wheels and this tyre profile. So yes,
so it all
I agree 100%. Well. It works the best combination.
The other thing that Mercedes nailed it, not only they got a small car with a big engine in it, you look at the brakes, you've got 6-piston brakes on the front and the 4-piston on the back. So basically the braking outpowered all those cars I mentioned, the engine outpowered them, the steering geometry, they've widened the track to a C class, so you can see flares and all that. So the steering on this is so fast and precise, it's unbelievable. With the package I have, this car, like just the driving pleasure it gives you, it's unbelievable.
So we'll just take you around for a walk to have a look. So you've got the fins here for the brake cooling. The nice 6.3 litre AMG badges. And this is a very nice colour. I love this colour, this combination colour. This and the black, very hard to decide for me. So he's added a nice external carbon fibre boot spoiler on the back here. And the original AMG badging, obviously, with the C63 badges on it. And like I said before, the quad exhausts. And I must say that this is the best sounding sedan of all time, with its insane, crazy exhaust, which is hooked up to a 6.3 litre naturally aspirated V8, producing a whopping 336 kilowatts, or 460 horsepower in the old technology, and 600 newton meters of torque, propelling the car to a blistering 4.5 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers in stock formation. This engine, known as the M156, won the 2009 and 2010 Best Performance Engine. It is built by AMG by the one-man, one-engine principle, and has a plaque on the block with the engine builder's name on it. So you can thank him for the fun and smiles he has brought to you. We'll open the bonnet and we'll have a look in a second at all that. So it's hooked up to a 7-speed automatic snappy gearbox, which contributes to a nice comfortable drive or to a neck snapping acceleration run. The car weighs in at 1730 kilograms and has 18 by 8 inch wheels on the front and 18 by 9s on the rear, so it is a staggered formation. So Tony's popped the bonnet for us. So the first thing we're going to look at is the engine plaque that I was talking about. And it's built by Den's Z. And as you can see, it's naturally aspirated. Clean condition. So Tony, can you tell us anything about the engine? Have you modified it?
Engine's not modified, apart from the headers that I spoke about.
Yep.
But when you look at the engine build, whenever you're purchasing this car, try to get the engine built by Jen Zedke, this guy. And there's also another guy, what's his name?
So the guy's name is?
Michael Kubler.
So you're saying this guy?
So Jen Zedke, he's the guy that taught the two Formula 1 drivers, Michael Schumacher and I think it was Nico Rosberg, whatever his name is, how to build an engine and sign it in the factory. And Michael Kubler, he's also like one of those high master builders who builds Pagani, Zonda and all the other exotic cars that other engine builders aren't allowed to touch. And for some reason, those two engine builders, their engines put out more power. You see it on the dyno, you see it on the track. And even the guy that tuned the car, he said this is a freak of an engine. We don't know why, but
it must be the engine builder.
It is the engine builder.
He must have put a bit of magic in it.
They must be doing something
yeah, apparently tolerances play a difference. Every little thing, every bolt, if tightened to spec, plays a role.
Big role,
Okay, so we'll just give you a little view of the interior. This has got the special race seats like the CLK AMG ones. And we will be going for a drive in this, so I'll go through the specs once we're in here. There is a lot more room in the back, but we've just got the seats to their fullest extension towards the back so that we could get all electronics set up. But there is heaps of leg room normally. And plenty of space in the boot. Nice spacious boot here for travelling. How about you give it a couple of revs? We've got to listen to this monstrous sound. Whoa. And that is ear-piercing, ladies and gentlemen. My eardrums just tickled. So Mercedes were very smart, and what they did was, this opening here that you see is so that if you've got the boot open, you can reverse and be able to see. So the Germans were very smart in that. Alright Tony, so what else are you going to show us here?
What I'd like to describe is how much engineering went into this car by Mercedes. So basically, because as you can see, it's got 6 pistons, it's got the big V8, it's high powered, it's got all the handling and all that. They had to give it more cooling because inside the engine bay it's so tight. So what they've done, as you can see on the Series 1, they've opened all the air vents, they've put air vents on the side. So the transmission has a cooler, the traditional cooler through the radiator, but it's also got a cooler behind the bumper for the automatic transmission. The engine's got 2 oil coolers as well. One big one behind the bumper, and there's a square one where the wheel is with its own fan as well.
Okay.
So these cars on a racetrack don't go into limp mode or whatever. They really do work out thanks to the German engineering. Unfortunately, if you see the facelifted versions, you'll notice that the fog light is missing, and they've closed all the vents, and apparently that's caused an issue with the MCT transmission overheating, and the car goes into limp mode about 1.5 laps into a race. And the only way to fix it, put a Black Series front end on it, or put a larger oil cooler.
Excellent. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking this opportunity to show you two of the 204s parked together, the two different models. So on the left we've got Tony's one that we were in and we've been reviewing today, and we've got another one on the left. So we can show you the differences between these two models. So the one on the left, Tony, what year model is it?
So the red one there, that's
the one on the right, I should have said, sorry.
Yeah.
We know yours is a 2008. So this is the facelift, yep.
Yep, so this is the facelift version we're talking about. They range from the year 2012 to 2015. That one's actually a coupe. So, okay, so basically, as you can see, with the 2012 to 2015, the facelift, the bonnet is slightly different. The lights are different. They've removed the fog light that the original pre-facelift had. And as you can see, vents, there's less vents, there's more blockage.
Correct, I'll just stand in front.
Yeah.
Now that the cars are parked again.
So these are the like parking lights, driving lights. These have them in here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we've got it down here as well.
Correct.
But the fog lights, when you turn the steering wheel, that light up, they deleted that.
Yeah, they've deleted that. There's no lights down there anyway.
Yeah.
The fog lights are gone
They've
completely.
included the power bulge, like the Series 1, to make it look a bit tougher. But
Yeah, so it slants more, and then it also has, like, the left one has a left-hand turn.
yeah,
So goes up and then turns there. Same with that one. Goes up and then turns there, whereas this one, it's just straight.
straight power bulge. And the owner of the red one just told me that he actually prefers the look of the Series 1 over the facelift version.
Yep.
And if you look at the rims, they're the 19-inch alloys. They come on performance packs, and they're an option extra on my car as well. They're the ones that buckle real easy.
Okay.
And the ones on the 507 as well, you'll see later on. When Sam walks up.
So there's a difference. There's a star type pattern.
So 18 versus 19-inch.
And 18 versus 19, yes, correct.
Yes.
And how about the back? Is it, the lights would be a bit different, won't they?
That's right. They've converted the lights to LED on the Series 2. And for those who have the preface version, you can actually buy those lights as a kit.
Yeah, so you can see it there, especially in the reverse lights.
Yeah.
You can see the difference.
The blinker, that's LED on the first one, where this, all the red lights, everything's LED.
Right, okay, yes. Should be able to see that in the video.
But the exhaust is the same. On the sedan, the seats are the same, but inside the dash and all that's been upgraded on the facelift version. And they've also had a software tune to get a bit more power on the performance pack.
Excellent. So we'll also give it a few hits here and there, you know, just to get a feel of the suspension and how the car feels in all respects. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we're in the C63. Tony driving, of course. Driving this beast. And that sound is just so addictive. I love that V8 sound. It's my favourite sound out of V8s. 6 cylinders, V12s, V10s, I love the V8 sound the most. What do you reckon, Tony?
Oh yeah, V8's definitely naturally aspirated. Definitely.
Yeah, this is the best sounding of all the AMGs. And I'll tell you what, these things, they fly, mate. Stock standard, these things do a 12 3-second quarter mile at 116 mile an hour. That's a few of the car magazines, when they tested them back in the day, that's what they got out of them. So, made with a few mods, these things will fly.
Yeah,
even more.
When I purchased it, it did do the 12.3, 116, and then with the tune and headers, 11.8, 118.
Wow,
So,
what a difference, eh?
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
And we've got the race box here set up for the 0 to 100 later, but I'm going to jump out this time. So that the car has less weight in it, obviously. Why not try and get a realistic figure? It is a very hot day though,
yeah,
so although
34.
it's 34 degrees Celsius, so although these cars don't get affected as much as a turbo or the supercharged ones, they still do copper hiding from the heat. So we'll have to take that into consideration as well with the 0 to 100 time. And also, we haven't got slicks on the car, so there will probably be wheel spin. So, yeah, well, with these things here, they started work on the C63 back in early 2004, as AMG wanted to make the C63 more powerful than the BMW M3. And this engine, the M156, was very anticipated by everybody when it was announced, as BMW was a step ahead at the time. So by 2005, the C63 was already in development and was being tested around the Nürburgring, and when it was announced as being ready in June of 2007, the performance car fans were jolted by the power of the C63 compared to the then new E92 BMW M3. The engine for the 363 was detuned from its bigger AMG brothers to 451 horsepower, and is a racing derived engine built by the one man, one engine AMG principle. And as we saw the Plaque earlier, so that's what they do, these Germans. Very, very fantastic engineering going into these cars. Yeah, so the car was available as 4-door sedan, as I said, and the technology for these things, for the suspension, was taken from the Black Series to get the C63 handling. It has a 13:5 1 ratio steering box, which allows for precise steering, and it's coupled to 7-speed auto, and has an auto throttle blipping function, which was a first back then for most cars, during downshifting to make the process easier and smoother. Alright, so Tony's going to tell us a bit more about the different models and the P30s, or the package. The package pack. Was it the package pack known here?
Performance pack, yeah.
The performance
pack,
yeah.
Basically what you're sitting in, this is the entry-level C63. As you said, it was 336 kilowatts, etc., with the steel brakes.
Yep. Then
you've got what's called a performance pack. And the way to tell, if you look at my calipers, they're a grey colour. The performance pack are a red colour. So they're carbon ceramic brakes. And the problem with them is they're only good for the tracks. On the street they don't work. But to replace them, they're like $6,000. So people are putting back these brakes onto them to save running costs. The other thing the performance pack had was a carbon fibre spoiler. And the pistons and the rods and the crankshaft was lightened, so they were from an SLS. The power gain they got wasn't because of the components, it was because of the tune of the opening and closing of the throttle bodies. Then you got the 507 edition, which is a 500 or 507 horsepower. Same engine as the performance pack, but much nice rims and stripes and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then you got the Black Series, which was 510, which is the ultimate C63. So that's a difference in the cars. There is a guy on YouTube, Tassos Moschatos, I don't know if you...
Oh, yes, yeah. I've seen him. He's very good with...
he is the best of...
Yes.
In the world, and what he does, the thing I like about him, he doesn't just say things like, you know how I'm giving you facts here.
Yeah.
He actually shows you.
Yes.
He does measurements.
He takes everything apart.
He does everything, and he himself said that he prefers the crankshaft in these. They're stronger because when you cut metal out, it makes metal weak.
Yes.
And these types of engines, you need a heavy crankshaft because you got different types of V8s, cross plank and stuff like that. And this is all close tolerance and stuff like that. So he himself said that yes, he prefers this crankshaft. The other thing you got to be careful, this is just in case anyone wants to buy one or has one, there's been a bit of on the internet, you know how people bang on about certain stuff.
Yes.
Head bolts. I don't know.
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I know about the head bolts.
What the story there is, this 2008 till April 2011, they came with the female-sized head bolts, and what happens is some of the cars, and it's probably 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 2,000, after 60,000 Ks or whatever, the head bolts would crack, and what that does, it gets coolant into your engine, which causes a bit of misfire, and then you get an engine code and stuff like that. So in 2011 April May, AMG came out with a male version of the head bolt. They initially thought it was the female because it had the less metal in it. It was actually the material they used in the head bolt, where the coolant would eat the top part of it and cause it to snap. A lot of people panicked, changed their head bolts instantly. Anytime these cars, something goes wrong, it's head bolts, head bolts. I've spoken to all the tuners here and stuff like that, and they're all saying the same thing. If your head bolts haven't gone for 60,000 Ks, chances are it's not going to go anytime soon. And I've done 110,000 Ks, I've raced this car, never had a problem. What I found was I changed the coolant every 2 years.
Yep.
And as you can see, it's 37 degrees out there now, and the car, it's as if we're in winter. And I've raced this car at 41 degree heat at the quarter mile, and
wow.
it did the exact same time, non-stop. Yeah, so the trick is use genuine AMG coolant and change the coolant every couple of years. But with the head bolts, like they said, each head has 10 head bolts. So if one snaps, it's not going to destroy your engine. You'll start getting a bit of a misfire. You'll notice your reservoir is going to run a bit low. That's when you know it's gone, and then you get it replaced. It's $350 for the parts for all 20 head bolts. And there's two ways you can replace it. They can either do it with the head on the car in a cross manner,
yes,
without disturbing the gaskets, or you take the heads off and do it again. Some people want to use ARP head bolts, which are stronger, but the new ones, they've never had a problem with the new generation, and they're a lot cheaper, $350 versus $1,000. And even Tassos Machado said himself, use the genuine Mercedes ones, because the ARP, the thread could be a little bit different, and it could, you know, cause a bit of an issue later on. So that's the head bolt story. So what they're reassuring is, don't panic. Even if one does go, it's not going to be a big catastrophic failure. And if it would have gone, it would have happened way before 60,000 Ks. They haven't seen one happen here yet in Australia, but overseas there have been a couple of people.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, it's like the coronavirus, when that first hit, everyone started buying hundreds of toilet paper.
Yeah.
That's what happened with the head bolt story.
Right, yes. So yeah, people just rushed to try
They just rushed, they were scared, because it is expensive engine to rebuild and stuff like that.
Of course.
But there's 10 bolts per head, and if one does go, it's not going to destroy your engine. That's what they're saying. Just keep an eye out on the coolant. But yeah, with my car, it's spot on. It's never had a problem. So that's why people are buying the 2012 onwards.
Right, before that, yes.
Yeah, because they were scared of the head bolt issue with the Series 1s, so they skipped the Series 1 and went to the Series 2. But like I said, there's nothing wrong as long as you maintain your car. Because a lot of people buy these cars for, you know, for work or whatever.
Yeah, just every day.
Yeah, so they don't service it
yes,
as much as an enthusiast. And that's why when I bought this car, it took me well over a year to find one in this condition. So what I recommend, if anyone's going to buy one, don't jump at the cheapest one. Always pay a bit more, find an enthusiast, check their logbooks, make sure the oil has been changed at least every 10,000 Ks. This owner, he did it from 5 to 10,000, and he traded it into a reputable exotic car dealership for a Ferrari. So you know he spent the money. You can see it in the service records. I took this car to a panel beater. He pulled all the rubbers apart and all that. He said this car has not been in an accident, and he was begging me to sell it to him for his wife. that's how good the condition is. Then when I took it to the tuner, Alan, who's the best in Australia, he said he gets about 3 of these every week. And he goes, these cars are making a comeback, and now I see what he means. I'm seeing the same thing. A lot of people upgraded to the 205, and now they're coming back to the 204.
Right.
And they're saying that the 204's got a better, smoother suspension, and the raw feel, the raw horsepower, the turn on, the feeling, like, yeah, the sound, it's just, yeah.
It is, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
I actually like the ride in this. It's my first time in a C63 actually.
Yeah, and look how bad the road is, and this is on number 7 out of 10.
The stiffness.
Yeah, but what else happened when Alan tuned this car? He said every one of these that comes in with an error code, because what he does, he scans the software to see if there's any problems with the car. He said this was the first car that came in with no error. He also said when he tunes the cars, they all throw errors. He said this is the only one that never threw an error when he tuned it. So it came in with no error, it threw no error, he took the tune straight away. He goes, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 goes. And he goes, the freaky thing is this develops 20 more Newton meters of torque earlier than all the other cars he tuned. So I said to him, what's my car supposed to do down the 1/4 mile with this setup? And he said, yeah, 12, what do you say? Yeah, 12.0, 118 mile per hour. I called him, I did 11.8.
Wow.
118 mile per hour.
Yeah, I've only run a 12.0 in mine and 118.
Yeah.
That was my best time. And the first one ever, and I've been able to go better. But yeah, that's amazing, 11.8.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's a lot, like the cars that I saw, I'm telling you, they're shocking. Like, yeah, bad condition, they haven't been serviced properly. That's what I'm saying. Please take your time to buy one. Make sure they haven't been in an accident. And the last thing is you want electrical problems, because I'm on Mercedes forums, AMG forums, and I'm shocked at how many people have errors with not just this model, but all Mercedes and stuff like that. These cars are so expensive to service. Like the last thing you want is yeah, the last thing you want is electric issues, mechanical issues and stuff like that.
Listen to those pops and crackles, ladies and gentlemen.
This car model, the C63 W204, that's where everyone copies the pops. And
yes, this was the first car to ever do that.
Yeah,
correct.
It's and they're even using these mufflers on, I think even your YouTube guy, the last one.
The last car that we did, the AMG 55, yes, he's put on
the mufflers,
The mufflers,
That's why I left the standard mufflers, the standard resonator. That's why it's so quiet when you drive it, but when you put your foot down,
that's what I
like you said, it's ear-piecing. Like, but that's how they go.
Yeah, back there when your son gave it a couple of revs, I'll tell you what, my ears nearly popped.
Yeah, and that's what they're like.
And
that's why I wanted a C63. Ever since they came out, I used to hear them running up and down the street, the pops, the bangs, the crackles, like it. And then when I drove,
it's so addictive, isn't it?
It's addictive. Like I've had so many performance cars, and none of them turned me on like this. You know, it's just amazing.
It's got everything. Everything that you want.
And the funny thing is, once you drive, I don't know if it happens to you, all the BMW guys want to race you, you know, like,
yes.
I think there's a bit of a Ford versus Holden rivalry.
Exactly.
The BMW,
yes, BMW versus Mercedes, or AMG versus the M series.
When I do the roll racing, they're the first ones to come, hey, you want to race? I'll go, yeah, I'll race. And then when I race them, they go, did you supercharge that? I'll go, no. And they go, well, we've beaten every single one of them. What have you done? And I pop the bonnet, I go, it's standard. And they've tuned it, they've done dump pipes, pod filter, everything. And then they come back the next month and I race them again and they've retuned it and I still beat them. Like, yeah, this car is phenomenal. Like, it punches way above its weight. Like,
Oh yeah, I love these things, mate. These are fantastic. I wanted to get one of these myself, but when I got my AMG, these were too expensive for me, so I ended up going for the E55. But yeah, this was my first choice actually. But it's not to say that I won't get one in the future, and if I move back to Europe, I'll definitely be getting one of these. And I will be visiting Tassos Moscatos I was surprised actually that you found him, because he hasn't got that many subscribers or viewers, but he's fantastic. Like his information and his mechanical skills are fantastic.
Yeah, the thing I like about him, I don't go by word of mouth. I need evidence, and he provides the evidence.
Yeah,
and,
he does. He's very particular.
Yeah, and he builds engines for International Auto House customers and stuff like he's there. He's up there with the best, and he's proven stuff where, like even his own car, I think he's got a 2008. Like he even said this gearbox is a torque converter gearbox. Where the Series 2
yes, it is.
Facelift
It is a torque converter gearbox.
It's the multi-clutch, and he did tests, and he goes, this gearbox is quicker when you do kick downs, and yeah, it's where you think the clutch one you'd be quicker. There's a whole lot of things that the Series 1 is actually better than the Series 2, apart from the dash, the interior. The seats are the same, but the Series 2 dash is nicer. They did upgrade it. But there is a massive aftermarket out there for the Mercedes. Like you can change this to like a touch screen.
Yes.
For $1,200, like, and it does everything.
Yeah.
Spotify, you know, Apple CarPlay, you name it. It's got
the E55 have done the same last.
For only $1,200, like, and you can put lights all around. Like you can make this like look like a 205 effectively for very little money. But the things I like this traditional look. I like leaving.
Yeah, that's right. I like to leave my car original as well.
Yeah.
It's best how it came out from the factory. Because I believe if you would modify it, eventually you'd want to go back to how it looked originally. Because that's been shown through history with all the Ford guys here in Australia with the Falcon GTs, that it upgraded the XWs to and XYs to like an XY look, and now they all go back to the original look. Yes. So whatever the car was, they go back to the original.
Basically, since we were talking about head bolts, the other issue that people complain about or talk about are the camshafts wearing. Basically what the story is, the lifters are a different metal to the camshafts, so eventually they will wear it out.
Okay.
Now on this Series 1, what it is, the top two camshafts wear out because they're up high and the oil doesn't get to it. So if the car's been sitting you know, for a couple of months, when you first crank it up, there's not enough oil. And also, if you haven't been changing your oil every 7,000 to 10,000 Ks, you'll get premature wear. So the life of the camshafts, according to Tassos and everyone else, on the Series 1, it's 200,000 Ks. Eventually, you'll need to replace the camshafts and the lifters as well. On the Series 2, the facelift, they've changed the valve spring. So instead of the beehive looking one, they've made like a double valve spring, but they made it too hard. And what that does, that's actually wearing all four camshafts, and they wear at 150,000 Ks. Right. So, but what I found, I've been taking photos of the camshafts every time we service it. We'll take the rocker covers off. My ones are like brand new, like when it came from factory. And the reason why they're like that, I change the oil every 3,500 to 5,000 Ks. And I also put an additive, liquid moly.
Oh yes, liquid moly, yeah.
Yeah, Ceratec. You only put 300 mils. You don't want to put more than one bottle, otherwise it will probably clog all the oil filters. But that puts a special coating on the camshafts and all the mechanicals inside the engine, and that's why the engine is still like brand new inside. So that's a bit of a tip for those who are worried about the camshaft premature wearing. The other thing people talk about, which is even more less likely, I think only like I've heard of 2 people around the world that had, apparently after about 150,000 Ks, whatever, the injector, one of the injectors can get stuck and cause what's called a hydro lock. Very, very extremely rare.
Oh, hydro lock.
Hydro locks your engine, and it can catastrophically destroy your engine. But yeah, like I said, I've only had 2 people, but as a precaution, maybe when I hit 150,000, I'll just change the injectors anyway. Because if it does hydro lock, it can destroy the engine. Where if a head bolt snaps, it's not going to destroy the engine. I'll get the early warning signs and I'll fix it in time. But they're the 3 main problems that everyone's complaining about. There's another one, the Camshaft Adjusters. Sometimes when people start it up, they hear a rattle. Once again, if you put Ceratec, you never have that problem, because if you heard my engine while you're filming, it's super smooth.
Oh, it was very smooth. Yeah, couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, that's constant changing of oil every 5,000 Ks with Ceratec. The engine will be like brand new. If you change your engine oil every 15, 20,000 Ks and don't put any additives, in 200,000 Ks you will need to change your camshafts, lifters, probably even the camshaft adjusters. But I did read somewhere, if you do get a bit of a noise, you go on a highway like we did and you travel at anywhere from 2,500 RPM to 4,000 RPM, and that readjusts the camshafts and then it gets rid of the rattle. So every now and then take it on a highway, hold it in gear, and yeah, for a couple of minutes let it rev about 2,500 to 4,000 RPM, and that readjusts the camshaft adjusters back to where they're supposed to be. Because you got to remember, these are race engines. These are not normal engines. Race engines have to be thrashed every now and then. That way the tolerances are back where they should be.
Right.
And they need to be serviced regularly. So if you do a track day, when you come home, change the oil.
That's it.
Yeah, and I've been doing that and it's paid off. And as you can see how smooth and how much power it has. But there are a lot of cars, when I was buying the car, there are a lot of cars that were $10,000 cheaper. They had rattles, knocks, mate, you name it. And that's why I'm advising, if you're ever going to buy one of these, or if you have one, please only take it to a European specialist, and always use Mercedes-Benz parts, what they recommend, and over service it. Every 5,000 Ks, change the oil. Just change it. You know,
better to be safe than sorry.
Oil filter. Of course. Every 2 years, change your brake fluid. You know, change your coolant. You know, it's just, how much do you love your car? How much do you want?
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Well, I have to say, it was very similar when I had my WRX in Greece. I was doing the exact same things because they had problems with the engine bearings, spinning a bearing, and there were some measures that were said by quite a few of the mechanics on the forums to follow. So yeah, I was pretty anal with that car, and it did last, so that's the way to go about it.
Yeah, so in other words, it doesn't matter if you want to get a Series 1 or a Series 2. They call it pre-facelift versus facelift. All of them are phenomenal cars. All you need to do is pay that little bit more, get it from something like a one owner, where I bought it from a one owner who is an investor, who's serviced it religiously, looked after it, and you'll never have any of these electronic glitches or mechanical glitches that every other car has. If you do buy cheap, if you do buy one that's been in an accident, once you get those electronic gremlins, yeah, it's just very, very expensive to fix. Do I recommend buying one? Definitely.
Mate,
Yeah,
I recommend it too.
These cars, I know, like I've been in Lamborghinis, Honda, you name it. This car, the sound, the feeling, I'm telling you, for what you pay, you will never turn back. Like, it's just beautiful. Like, I can drive to Melbourne or Queensland
100%.
now. Yeah, these seats, the way they hold you in, and
yeah, I'm actually impressed with the seats. They're although they're huggy and sporty, they're very, very comfortable.
Very comfortable, yeah. And they're the same seats in the facelifted. It's just the dash that they changed in the radio.
Yeah, the newer cars, the C63s, there's two different seats. I think the bucket one, the race seat, is actually very, very harsh.
Yeah.
A lot of people are complaining, but these here, they're fantastic. I think these only came out with one style of seat anyway, didn't they?
Correct.
These models.
Yes.
Yeah, you need the comfort because, you know, if you're going to go on a big cruise, and these cars are for big cruises, you know, apart from doing your usual sport stuff, you know, your little rallies or track days or 0 to 100s, quarter mile, these are fantastic for long trips. They're a real grand tourer.
And the interesting thing is, there's a company called WiseTech in America, and they sell superchargers or whatever you need to do. for example, a 3-litre supercharger for this, we're talking from factory these do 12.3. You put a supercharger on it, you're doing 10.3 just from one modification, 10.3 seconds.
Wow.
If you put E85, you can enter the 9-second bracket. And that's another thing, the E85, the tuner says it's the best thing you can do for these cars. And I believe Sam, who you're going to do the 507 with, has got it.
Yep.
I'm very interested to see, because I can't see anywhere, the difference between this Premium 98 versus his E85. I want to, because the tuner says you get 40 horsepower at the wheels.
Yes.
I want to see what does that equate to in times, how much quicker his car is to mine. Yeah, that'll be very interesting to see.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, so stay tuned for that one, as we've been doing that comparison. Something to look forward to. Together with him.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do the 0 to 100 pull now, or 0 to 60 mile, I should say. .35, ladies and gentlemen. 4.35, there you have it. And it is stinking hot. 39 degrees. There's an extra 115 kilos in the car, which is me. So, very, very, very impressive. This car will do, mate, in the threes, 3.8, 3.6, 100%. There you have it in black and white. 4.35. Excellent. Mate, that felt.
And with wheel spin too.
And the wheel spinning.
Yeah.
100%. And I'm sure everybody heard that.
Picked the wrong day. It's too hot, man. It was 41
it is hot,
earlier on.
unfortunately.
That's all right.
But yeah, what we can do in the future, you know, a few pulls here and there, maybe get a few cars together.
Well, you know
just
what?
do some 0 to 100s.
We're going to have an AMG drag day when it cools down.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, and that's when you're going to see what they really do. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for that one as well, because I know that we are going to hire a whole lane at the drag races to ourselves. So there's going to be quite a few AMG cars there, and we'll hook up this race box to the cars, so we can also check the difference between this and the actual drag racing official timer. And also we'll get an idea before the guy goes back to get his time slip what the car's run. It helps. So you can see that all these little mods have paid off that have been done to the car. So, mate, why did you end up buying this car? What drove you to it? Like, I know you know about it later, but before.
The particular model, the C63 W204, I always wanted one. Like I said, when I heard them, saw them, especially this Series 1, look, the way it looks with the power domes, the bulging,
Yes.
the lights, the grille, the widened flared guards to fit the new suspension system. Yeah, just everything about this car. And when it knocked off the E55 off the perch for the fastest car in the world, I just had to get one because I was going to get the E55, but then when this came out for 6.2 litre, and I like doing a lot of track days, and normally aspirated's the best for track days.
Correct. And also this is a handler too. This car handles.
It handles. It was the first AMG to actually handle and brake properly. It was the first AMG built engine. See, traditionally AMG would just grab a Mercedes and whack a supercharger on it and do an exhaust and whatever. They purposely built this race engine, software detuned it and sold it to the public. But when people started tuning them and they go, hang on a minute, it just jumped to 525 horsepower, what's going on? Yeah, that's, and then the Wisec company, when they started selling superchargers and the times these were doing, 10-second quarter mile in a family car, like it was unheard of back then. You know, like,
That's right. They're practical and fun.
The sound, the feeling, yeah, the emotions it gives you when you're driving it.
The
Even on
adrenaline
this
rush.
stinking hot day,
butterflies.
like everything's engineered. The heat doesn't bother, and like it just
we saw with the 4.35, like that's fantastic. In these high temperatures, it's unbelievable.
And we're big boys too, you know. Like,
Exactly.
It just pulls and keeps going. The guys in Germany, there's a couple of YouTube guys. They got the same setup, and because of the autobahn, there's certain sections that's
unlimited speed.
The guy hit 320 k's per hour, and it was like he was just sitting here.
Yeah.
No shake, nothing.
No shaking.
The car was properly aerodynamically tested and designed. Yeah, for a car to do 320 k's per hour with only a set of headers and a tune, like, yeah, it's unbelievable. Like,
yes, it's crazy.
yeah, and yeah, if you really want to do it up, put that supercharger. But for me, this is perfect the way I have it.
Yeah, that's all you need.
It does everything I want.
Yeah, they've got enough power, man, as they are with this.
It's very well built, engineered, and yes, it is a modern day classic. The values are starting to go up, and it's only a matter of time, when they start appreciating again. And, yeah, so if anyone wants a collector's car, start getting these, because once that 4-cylinder C63 comes out,
it's all over.
It's all over. These are the only normally aspirated big V8s you can get your hand on what's left of it, because a lot of them, remember, have been stolen, damaged, accidents and all that, so every year there's less and less of them. So yeah,
Exactly. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming towards the end of the video. So we did the 4.35, and that's the run we're going to do. We're very happy with that. Well, obviously we would have been happier with a cooler day, which we would have got a much better time, and maybe me not in the car, but we couldn't do it any other way. But 4.35 is a fantastic time, considering all the
adversaries.
The adversaries that, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So I would love to thank Tony very, very much.
Thank you
for giving us all that information and letting us share his car with us and getting a great feel of it. And I enjoyed it very, very much, and I'm sure the viewers are going to enjoy it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the content, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you all in the next one, and we'll be seeing Tony very often. Tony, thank you very much, and bye for now.
Thank you guys, see you.